McNair gives it to George, running right up the middle. Touchdown! Titan! There are no flags on the field! It's a miracle!
The safety, now you're one-on-one with it.
Shows why he's the man! In trouble. Sack!
Ladies and gentlemen, Titan Nation, I know everyone's ecstatic. It's playoff weekend. The Titans get to finally play, but I have a guest for you guys. We have a gentleman drafted by the Tennessee Titans in the 4th round in the 2001 draft. We have wide receiver / punt returner Justin McCareins from Northern Illinois. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me, and I'm excited to look at a victory tomorrow.
Definitely. That's something. I was talking to a couple people and looking at a strong Titans team, right? And I think, obviously, in your career, you've played with probably 2 of the strongest Titans team, or at least complete roster, back in 2001. And then when you came back and played with us in 2008, I mean, those were 2 hell of a teams. Unfortunately, they just couldn't get over that hump, right? The roster was stacked, and it was just an amazing group of players. How was that run, when you first got drafted by the Tennessee Titans and stuff like that, coming from a small school?
Man, when I look back at those years and my situation there, it couldn't have been any better of a fit for me, coming from the school I came from, with the coaching staff I came from, and the team. Just to join a team full of not only great players, but there was such a positive, vibe in the locker room and the coaching staff, and it was a perfect fit for me and for a lot of guys, obviously, and to have the success, to be in the playoffs and actually contribute in some of those games. Some of my best memories in the NFL.
Definitely, man. Now, coming from, starting your career, in college and stuff, and did you want to become like a professional athlete? Was that always your end goal? Was there something else that you kind of wanted to do, and maybe this was like something like on the side?
Well, it was always a dream, to play pro ball and, even pro basketball and pro baseball. I mean, I was realistic about it, and I was one of those guys who wasn't the most highly recruited kid out of high school. I had one D1 scholarship offer and got to that school, and as soon as I got to NIU, I was kind of forced to contribute right away as a freshman, and which I think was good for me as a person and as an athlete to kind of take that leadership role right away. And I could remember, some of those seniors that I played with for a year going off and getting opportunities in the NFL, getting tryouts and, lasting for a little while on special teams, and some of them, having some success. And, right then and there, I thought, I got a chance at this. I could do this. And I just continue to, improve every year and just focus on, focus on my weaknesses and being objective. And I just wanted a shot. I just remember wanting an opportunity to get in there and kind of get a head start on life, make some money for a few years, see if I could play special teams. And like I said, getting drafted to that team and playing with Coach Heimerdinger and, being around Steve McNair, Eddie George, and you name them, that helped me kind of develop as a player and, extended my career.
Definitely, man. I mean, like you said, was there any like kind of like I was in the police academy, and when we were in the police academy, right, you kind of had your dream job, like, oh, I would love to work because I lived in Miami. Oh, I would love to be Miami PD, or, oh, I would love to get picked up by this group or this organization. Was there anything like, did you guys think of that when you guys were, starting, your football, your college career started and stuff, like, oh man, I would love to play, I would love to play with the Green Bay Packers, or oh, I'd love to play with the Steelers. Was there any couple teams that you had in mind that you would love to play, or you just kind of wanted to just get on the team just to make it?
Yeah, I was more so wanting to, just find a team that fit for me, that I could, that I could stick around for a while. But to be honest, like, my brother is a witness to this. We used to be big Titans fans. I was, from Chicago and a Bears fan all my life. And, Eddie George was one of our favorite running backs, and we watched those commercials with him training in the ocean and all that stuff. And it was just I had no idea they were even interested in me, throughout
really?
the draft process. Yeah, it was kind of a surprise even getting that call. So, it was I like to think it was a blessing for me. Someone's looking out for me, and I had a great situation to walk into.
Definitely. So they never showed interest or anything. What teams did show interest?
I got a call from Baltimore like early in the draft saying, yeah, if you're still around, we'd love to sign you as a free agent. And I was like, sure, just call me after the draft. But, a few teams like that showed a little bit of, the Texans and things, but who knows? I just knew I needed a chance, and I was going to make the most of it. I was determined. So
Definitely, especially, coming from, that team. I think the following year before that, I mean, I think they were 7-9, if I recall. And then after that, I mean, before that, they were in the Super Bowl. But just to get that call from the Tennessee Titans, and like, you're going to be with Coach Fisher, Steve McNair, Kevin Dyson, Derek Mason. I mean, these guys like are studs and stuff.
Yeah.
What was your excitement?
That whole defense,
Yeah, the defense in general. What'd you think?
Oh my gosh, it was mind-blowing. Man, I still talk about the first, being in mini camp and getting a chance to run with some of the ones and twos, and being in the huddle and just looking around like, man, this is so awesome. It was like one of those out-of-body experiences for a second, and then I realized like I could play at this speed. I could pick this up, and I belong here. So it was a great feeling.
Definitely. What was the difference between college ball and the pros? Is it true? It's like everything is like kind of like fast forward. Like the game itself is just very elevated, very fast.
Yeah, that part of it is true. And one of the other differences that stuck out to me right away was the tempo, even in practice. Where there's no half speed, at least from what I saw. I was one of those guys who could take plays off, and it was like everything's filmed. And coming from Northern Illinois and seeing reporters and media and fans at practice even was a big difference for me. It was a big deal. And, just the seriousness of it all. And you adapt to it right away, and you realize I don't have class to worry about. I don't have papers. I just need to worry about this and taking care of my body and knowing what I have to do and just making the most of every moment, I think, was what really stuck out for me.
Definitely. There's one game that obviously we're going to talk about. You probably know about it already. Was the divisional game, right? I mean, the Titans now are in the divisional game, and they got the number 1 seed. They got home field advantage. It's kind of similar. I mean, the division game in 2002 against the Steelers, guys got home field advantage. You caught 2 catches in overtime to seal the game for Joe Nedney to kick it, even though Joe Nedney had his those moments. He had one for 31 yards, the other one with 22 yards, and then after that, when you think about that game, what's the first thing that kind of pops up in your head? Is it the catches? Is it just the feel? It was just how did just that whole experience itself of being in a divisional game?
Yeah, it was. I think, and I broke my ankle early in the my rookie season, so that season was me getting back, and I hadn't been in any playoff games, obviously, and it was a big moment. Like you could feel that electricity. I just remember, how it felt different than the regular season games, and I hadn't really contributed up until that point in the game, and it was electrifying. It was a great feeling, and I'll never forget it. Catching the ball on the sidelines, and a couple balls to get us into position to kick the field goal, and the crowd noise and the intensity of it all. It was great, and the feeling of your teammates, recognizing you and the fact that you played a part in helping us win. So it's the best feeling in the world. Great memories. I don't want to forget.
Yeah, that's definitely like that connection with you and McNair. You can tell he started building that trust with you, and it just kept on going from there. Is it hard to kind of build trust between a wide receiver and a QB? Like, how did it work out with you and Steve? Because obviously, eventually, you guys, I mean, were like,
Yeah.
you know,
Steve was different, man. I played with a few different quarterbacks over the years, and he was one of those guys because I just remember him being so injured, not injured. He was just banged up all the time and needing to rest for practice. And about some of those seasons,
I think that
it
season
was
itself, like he was always on the injured. I think
always,
the announcer even said it in the commentary. He's like, "Wow, he's not on the injured report on this game."
right. And you're preparing with Neil O'Donnell and Billy Volek, and which are two fantastic, capable quarterbacks, and and they would get the offense prepared prepared to play in the game, and we'd rehearse with those guys, and Steve would come out on Sunday and just be superhuman, and he's one of those guys where and I try to explain to people, like, I've been around a lot of winners, a lot of great athletes of all different sports, and he stood out in every way. Just a big person, big personality, and an amazing athlete. And leader. He's one of those guys when you drop a pass or you mess up and Coach Heimerdinger's screaming at you on the sideline, he'd take you aside like this and just be like, "Don't worry about that stuff, man. Let's go. We need you." And he had a way about him that I think everyone would agree that he felt like a best friend to everybody. So what a blessing I had to get a chance to play with him.
Yeah, Eric McNair, man, awesome.
Yeah.
Now knowing about, like you said, like he had injuries, this and that. You said that getting that rhythm with him would be almost like kind of like game time, like to game time. He would come out and basically that wow.
And he's hitting Mason and Drew. He's finding guys and knowing where guys are, and the way he would extend plays. He made it easier, obviously, as a receiver to not only could he launch the ball 60 yards. I could remember certain deep balls where you'd start slowing down, thinking the play's got to be over, and then you'd see that thing soaring. And I could remember getting back on my horse a few times where he just had a cannon, and he would extend the play, and you knew just to always expect the football, and it wasn't difficult. He made it real easy, and obviously our run game at the time was a huge part of our team's success.
Definitely. When you came to Tennessee, do you remember the first person, or maybe not the first player, maybe in the locker room that kind of talked to you at first, or maybe gave you some advice?
Yeah, a few guys right away. I could remember even Eddie George taking time to compliment and to encourage, a rookie, just like in mini camp or in training camp, and be like, "You're doing a good job, and you could help us." Just those little pats in the back that make a big deal to a young guy. And obviously Derek Mason, Kevin Dyson, Chris Sanders, three dudes who were established guys in the team, and took us rookie receivers and just welcomed us in right away. It was a perfect situation, perfect position meeting room. Our coach was fantastic, Coach Walters, and those three guys, leading us not only on the field but off the field. It was a real blessing, compared to what you hear in some locker rooms. So it couldn't have been any better.
Definitely. Now, you played for us with in 2001. You eventually left and you got traded to the Jets. I think your contract was like 7 years. You played a little bit for the Jets, and then you came back and played with the 2008 Tennessee Titans. Another, I mean, hell of a group of guys. Again, incredible run again. You guys had again. It just couldn't get it done. What was the biggest difference between that the first Titans team you had and the 2008 team. Again, they both had success and they both went not very far, but they were, it was different identity. Like it was, what do you think the difference was? Like what did one team lack and one team didn't, or what did one team have compared to another team?
Well, obviously Steve's, irreplaceable.
Yeah.
The receiving room's a little bit different. There was, Gage and some of those other guys in there, talented players. The offense was the same. Coach Heimerdinger was running the same thing. It was just, it had the same feel to it. I think I was at a different place as a player, obviously being 8 years in at that point. And I approached things a little more professionally and than I was, but heart-wise, it was all the same. There were guys there who were, willing to do whatever it takes, and it was a tight locker room. A lot of the same faces on defense, and Keith Bullock, I remember, being a huge leader for us. It's just one of those things where that was another talented team. Chris Johnson at running back, he's one of those other guys I tell stories about where I've never been on the field with an athlete that fast, Yeah. And it was a marvel to watch him and to block for him down the field. You always knew to keep blocking, but so it was, it was the same feel talent-wise. It's just, one of those seasons where it could have gone either way, and I try not to look back too much. It's a little painful to see how close I got, but a lot of guys go their entire career and don't get to the playoffs at all. So, I feel those memories are great. So
which team,
not much difference.
Which team would you, it's all right. Which team would you not prefer, but which team, I don't know how to explain this. Which team would you pick? Would you pick the one you started with or the 08?
Oh man, I would pick the one I started with just because it was 2 years from the Super Bowl, and like I said, it was just a perfect situation for me as a young player, and I was having more fun at that point in my career. You know what I mean? It was just I remember that third season feeling unstoppable and just confident and having a blast every game. It was just a wonderful memory, the 2003 for me.
Definitely, man. I mean, those are good times. Unfortunately, it's kind of like sour and sweet, like it's sweet because we remember all the players, the group, the whole team, and then it's like sour, like damn. Sometimes it just doesn't happen, man. But like you said, right? I mean, some players don't get into the playoffs like that. What's up?
Yeah. You said you were a police officer in Miami?
Yeah.
For how many years?
4.
4?
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right. I was in Coral Springs.
Coral Springs, all right.
Yeah, I worked as a cop in Coral Springs?
I did. I knew you were a cop somewhere down the line, but just not in Coral Springs.
Are you familiar? Yeah.
Yeah, of
7
course.
years.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I worked in Hialeah.
Okay.
Not the greatest area, but hey, that's where they accepted me. I did.
I've been there.
I did Miami PD, and I did the Miami-Dade College. I went through 6 months course, and then we did that. But yeah, that was a while back. But, things have changed.
Good memories or bad?
No, they're good. They're always good. It's good experiences. Good experiences kind of kept me aware of things that a lot of people don't see, like normal people don't see.
No.
People are kind of oblivious to things and think people are great and this and that, but we're shady.
I value that. I've been out of that job for about 5 years now, and I value those experiences just as much, the good and the bad. And it was like coming from the playing professional and college football. I didn't feel like I saw a lot of real life, you know what I mean? And I wanted to stay part of a team and just do something real. And it was great, man. I got what I wanted to see out of it, but I did almost 7 years and it was time to move on.
Yeah, man. It's one thing that it does take a toll on you. A lot of people.
Family too.
Exactly. Family too. And it's something that a lot of people, I think, expect a little bit I guess, a different outcome. Like I think they get too brainwashed into movies and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, it's not like that, man. It's completely
Nope.
different. I mean, and
There's a lot of this too. I wasn't big on typing reports for
it's not fun.
certain things.
It's not fun. I agree with you on that one. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. But that's also. I didn't even know that you were in Florida. How long you were in Florida for?
I lived there for about. Yeah, I got out. 08 was my last season. I took about almost a year off.
Okay.
And I was living I had a house in Boca, in Highland Beach, kind of on the water for a while. And I had I applied to a few places. I actually applied to Nashville PD and drove up for the tests and all that stuff. And then they had a freak blizzard and canceled it. I came back and applied to a few places in Florida. The next thing I know, I was in the academy with a bunch of 20-year-olds, and it was the next chapter in my life. But yeah, I was there for 7 years. So yeah, we left in 2016.
Okay.
Came here.
Yeah, Boca's a nice area, man. Boca's real nice. Really,
it was nice.
Yeah.
I wanted a little more property, and I had family here in Plano, and I love Texas. I'll never leave
Texas is good, but it's cold out today, man. I'm freezing. I'm in a garage right now. This is yeah, it's my garage. The garage door is open, but that's why I got the sweater on. It's cold, man.
Yeah, it is.
So I have, like I've told you before, I got Twitter. I ask people on social media, like, hey, I have Justin. I'm going to interview him. If anyone has questions, I'll be glad to, just to write a couple down. Just because again, some people don't get to talk to athletes, so there's a couple of them. Some of them we might have answered already, but some of them we haven't. Okay, so the first person is Preston Pin on Twitter. Wants to know, what was your favorite memory as a Titan?
Favorite memory? There's a few of them. There's a touchdown catch in Baltimore. I think it was a playoff game in 2003, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big deal for me and felt really good. And I returned a punt for a touchdown only one time in my career, and that was in Atlanta, and that was a lot of fun. That whole game was that Atlanta game. I think Billy Volek was the quarterback for it, and I remember feeling like unstoppable. I felt I was as good as anybody at that time in my career.
Definitely. Do you like playing more receiver or actually returning punts?
Receiver or what?
Receiver or returning punts?
Oh, returning?
Yeah.
Man.
Is it a different kind of
it's
type
different.
of feel?
It's different. But returning kicks and punts, like I tell people that there was not many things more exciting than being, back deep, returning a punt by yourself and, having to monitor guys coming at you and make sure, field the ball cleanly and all that and make it good decisions. And I think not a lot of people are able to do that. And I was never the most elusive runner, but coaches used to have enough confidence in me that I'd always end up doing it, at some point in the season. So I took pride in that and having having the courage to do that. So it was just different.
Now, this one is a really good one. I think we talked a little bit about it, but it's Terry Henry from Twitter wants to know, how would today's team hold up against what he saw as the best roster that had when he played? How would today's team hold up against what he saw as the best roster they had when he played?
So our offense versus today's defense? Or just comparison team-wise?
I guess we can do both.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. That's tough because I'll never say that, there's anyone more exciting than McNair who could make play. He's a problem for anybody.
Definitely.
That offensive line, when they were blocking well for Eddie George, that's a tough call.
It's all right.
I don't want to. I'm so pumped about this team tomorrow. And the fact that it seems like the country wants the Bengals to win, and the country's excited about Joe Burrow and that
Yep.
team. And I feel like this is a good opportunity to make a statement. I feel tomorrow, so I'm not going to bash any. I'm not going to say anything negative about this Titans team.
I like that.
We have weapons and I feel like, especially that receiving core, it's a big, some big players, big game coming up. I feel like at least one of them's going to explode tomorrow. So
Definitely, man.
yeah.
All right. So the next question we got from Jim Lacey wants to know, what coach did he learn the most from, college or pros?
Wow, good question. Technique wise, and playing the position, Coach Heimerdinger, rest his soul. I mean, he coached in Denver, and he coached Ed McCaffrey and Rod Smith and those guys. And I think he was one of the reasons I went to play on that offense, is because him and Drew Bennett, some of these guys were similar, body types, similar type of, and he coached us the same way. And he saw what I was good at and what I needed work on, and was really one of those hands-on type coaches to where, and the first year I had him, I couldn't stand him just because he was so intense and he was up, he was in my face constantly. But then you realize that's because he sees something in you, and
He wants to get the best.
Yeah, he really. The way I ended up being as a receiver was because of him. I didn't, even when I went to New York, it was a completely different offense, and I was running different routes, and I didn't feel. And I was the whole time wishing I was back there, being coached by him. You know what I mean? And just how I felt comfortable playing. And I had a couple. I had a high school basketball coach, Coach Lindo, who. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys where my life could have gone in any direction, and he saw something in me as a competitor, and got my head screwed on right. So I hope that answers it.
Oh, that definitely, man. That's a good. This one's a good one. Chad Davis wants to know what his favorite game he played as a Titan. I think you might have said Atlanta. You might have said the Baltimore one, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's a few more that come to mind. There's a Monday night game. I think I scored a touchdown versus the Jets in the first 3 plays or something. It was an early touchdown, and that was a tremendous feeling on Monday night to do that. So. I'm blessed, man. There's a few memories that I'm forgetting as well.
Is there something different about how everyone's like, oh, the Monday night football game or Sunday night? Is there actually does it feel like a different type of game?
Oh yeah, those night games, those national games. I mean, everyone, everyone's watching, and you're the main show. So, you're waiting around the hotel all day. You're already anxious to play, and it's a bigger build-up, So yeah, every one of the players is aware, and these playoff games especially too. It's a little bit more electric during warm-ups, and the fans are louder, and it's everyone's watching. So.
TK O'Cleary from Twitter wants to know, how tough was McNair playing through so many injuries? Like we talked about a little bit before, when he was, that whole season, right? The whole season.
And it was something that sticks out in my head is the fact that he, before games, we used to joke, like Eddie Berlin and Drew and I, we would see him in the back room and he would do this thing before an hour or two before the game where he'd lay prone on his back and just kind of nap or whatever. And the doctors would come in and out and talk to him and prod him or stretch him or whatever. And we used to joke he was just like a cyborg getting worked on to just go out, and he'd go out and ball, and just be superhuman. So yeah, I think one of those players. I've been around a lot of tough dudes on on and off the field, and he's definitely one of the toughest guys, and the most eyes were on him, and he was cool as hell all the time. Never too big of a stage for him.
Gotcha. All right. So we have Haley from Twitter wants to know what your favorite locker room story or memory is. It's kind of a little.
Yeah. Oh man. You know what? and this guy, like my locker was right next to Drew, and he came in at the same time as I did. So we got pretty close, you know, some of us young receivers. And he was such a clown. You know, I tell stories to my son about him all the time, just how hilarious he'd be. And you'd be talking to a reporter, you know, with a camera in your face, and there's him just making faces and doing God knows what behind the camera, trying to get you to, you know, lose concentration and get you to laugh. So everybody loved Drew, and he's one of those guys who brighten up any meeting or any you know, locker room joke.
Gotcha.
But there was a ton of guys like that. You know, it was just a fun environment.
Do you still talk to any of the players that you used to play with? Or
yeah, you guys are all spread out now, and you know, older and often getting to different careers and have their lives. But yeah, if I text these guys, or you know, they will respond. And then you got social media, and that connects everyone. But
Definitely.
It's tough. You know, I'm here in Texas. There's a few guys. Donald Mitchell's down here. But guys are just all over the place, and it gets hard. You know, it gets hard to get back for those reunion games, which I need to do more of.
Now, when you came to Texas, because this is kind of like the not the shock, but I really didn't realize. Okay, I thought Miami Dolphin fans were obnoxious, but the Cowboy fans, man, let me tell you, man, they're really bad. So a couple of years ago, we had the Monday night game. You see the Cowboys' the little terrible towel they got there.
Yeah, I see it.
So that was the Monday night game that we beat them in Jerry's World. And, man, let me tell you, I'm not really that big of a trash talker, but they were giving it to me the first quarter. They were screaming, ah. And then after halftime when we started beating their ass, it got quiet. It was great, man. Do you get heckled by a lot of Cowboy fans, even when you bring up like that you're a former Titan player? Because they do it all the time to me, and I'm just a fan. They're like, "Oh, you're a Titans? When's Titans are?"
I'll occasionally wear a sweatshirt or a T-shirt around to the gym or something, and but it's usually positive. You know,
oh really?
Nobody knows I even played, but they'll be like, "Oh yeah, go Titans" or whatever. I've been to a few other cities, and there's worse fans than the Cowboy fans.
Really? Wow.
I think at least I like the fans that are sticking with their team and don't, you know, immediately flip on them when they start doing badly. And you see those type of fans everywhere. So I'm living in Dallas. I'm secretly kind of rooting for the Cowboys to do well. I want to see everybody happy around me. And I was the same way in South Florida. You know, I wanted to see the Dolphins do well, but not against the Titans.
Well, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. The game, you know, last week when that horrible what happened to Dallas.
Yeah.
Low key inside, I was so happy to go to work because it's so quiet when they lose. You understand, man? They are the loudest. Again, I work in the airport, so you get that, and then you get the crowd of Cowboy fans coming like, "Oh, Cowboys!" And you have like my boss, and then you have other people. And it's just loud, and they just chirp a lot. But man, I was you understand, I was off that day and I still came into work because I actually had leave. And I was like, you know what, I'm coming in just to see it. Like it was great. I was so happy. It felt like the Titans won. That's how happy I was. Maybe I shouldn't be too proud of that, but I was like, oh man. And then they said that the Titans were actually, they might move the Super Bowl to, you know, Jerry. I'm like, oh yeah. If that happens, the airports are gonna be flooded. So that's another thing is that the playoffs are done for the Cowboys. That means no one's coming. There's not a crowd. Like it's good.
Right.
A shit ton of people. Once that it's a really bad, big deal. Like so, I was happy. I was really happy.
A lot of people took that loss very difficult. I noticed.
They did. I love it. I loved it. It was great. It's horrible that I'm so excited, but it's.
I'm not gonna be mean. I'm not gonna laugh.
No, I will. I like that. But Justin, like I said, on the field, off the field, I mean, like I said, you were one of the fan favorites. Everyone loved watching you.
I appreciate that.
You know, and don't think that, you know, people won't recognize you. Trust me, they do. Like I said, there was a bunch of people when I announced that I had you on the show. We're super excited. Just to not only that, you know, the show is about, you know, recognizing, you know, your hard work, you know, on and off the field, and just kind of giving you that light just to remember that, you know, people do remember you, regardless if you played in 98, 99, or 2000, whatever. You still wore the two-tone blue, and you're always going to be a fan favorite in everyone's eyes. You're always going to be a Titan, you know.
Oh,
In
I
everyone's
appreciate
eyes.
that, man. You know, it took me a while I haven't done many interviews, and I'm kind of enjoying just being a dad and being a coach and everything. But I do appreciate, you know, those fans who reach out, and guys like you who are like genuine fans, and the loyalty, and you know, I'm right there with you, man. I'm cheering for them just as hard, and I want to see them be successful. So
Appreciate it.
again, I appreciate you having me.
And hey, let me know if you need some AFC Championship tickets. I know that Bo Scaife hit me up. He was like, "Hey, because he was
All
supposed to
right,
go
cool.
to the game." Yeah, I talked to Bo on from time to time because
Yeah,
him and I are pretty cool. And
another great guy. Yeah, another great guy. Still doing big things off the field.
absolutely, yep, yeah, over there in Denver. And then Linda White too. Linda White, I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to go, but
Yep.
again,
Another.
just another. They're fun dudes. I hung out with them. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, I was blessed to get Lendell's another one of those backs that everyone knows, and I'm proud to always mention. I blocked for that guy.
Definitely, man. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, I know you have a million other things to do, but I appreciate the time that
No
you
problem.
gave me, man. All right, man.
All right,
Tighten up,
brother.
and we'll see what happens tomorrow, man.
Thank you, man. Have a